Hi guys, I had a suggestion by one of my viewers on YouTube that suggested I do a video on how I preserve my work. Now, there's a camp that you can be into, whether some artists choose to varnish and some choose not to. I kind of play in the middle of the road. Sometimes I varnish pieces, sometimes I don't. But the reason I would be, especially if I have a piece that has an uneven finish. For example, if I have a piece that perhaps I used a little bit more linseed oil in one area of the piece and maybe a little too much paint thinner in another, I may have a very chalky matte finish in one area and a really high gloss finish in another. And what the varnish does is gives you a consistent overall finish to a piece. So what I like to use, I am a big fan of Gamvar. If you look, you'll see a lot of stuff like that sitting on my little shelf over here. I like Gamvar. I'm particularly fond of their gloss their gloss varnish, but I do have the satin as well. Satin, I'm going to be real honest. Unless I'm doing a really small piece, I don't have as much success with an overall finish in the satin, but I do like the gloss. Some of my galleries ask that I do their pieces, the ones that I send to particular galleries in North Carolina do like to have more of a satin or matte finish on the pieces. So that's why I use the satin. But if it's in my gallery here or here in Kingsport, or if it's a piece that I'm doing locally, I choose to go ahead and put the high gloss varnish on. I had said earlier that sometimes I don't varnish it. If I have a piece that's overall consistency is as far as the finish looks pretty consistent, I might varnish it or I might not. But that's just how I am. I'm pretty sure that if you asked 100 different artists, you'll get 100 different answers on this. But anyhow, that's what I do, and I'm gonna show you how I varnish a piece. So here we go. You might remember this piece from one of our earlier videos, the painting of the bobcat head study. Now, it's pretty much dry, and it's definitely dry to the touch, and that's one of the wonderful things about Gamvar. This particular product says as long as it's dry to the touch, it's good to go. I usually let it go a day or two more, but that's generally, the practice here. And so all I'm gonna do is pour a little bit of the Gamvar onto the piece. And I'm going to take it here. I'm just using, actually it's a Rosemary number 12, series 279. It's a nice, natural bristle. And I'm just going to go ahead and run this over. Now you can see up here how it definitely makes everything a little bit richer. It just makes it a little bit more intense and a richer finish. Now you have to be careful about getting little hairs on your piece. But you can see here, it gives a very nice, consistent overall finish. It does intensify the richness of the color, I think. And I may have to pour some more on, we'll see. You're better off just doing, a couple thin coats as opposed to one really heavy coat. And another another tool that you can use to do this is actually a sponge brush. Now, I don't have any sponge brushes, so I generally don't use them. But I do wash my brush off really well when I get done. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You can see there is an overall richness to the color after you do a varnish. You watched when I put this on, and in this area, it just seems so much more intense. And I'm going to put a tiny little bit more on. Oops, a little bit more than I thought I was going to put on. Oh well, we'll just go ahead and move it around. But you can see that just makes it, just look at the overall appearance of the piece, just becomes so much richer. And in this case, I am using a high gloss. I prefer high gloss, but actually some of the galleries that I have that carry my work prefer it to be a matte or a satin gloss. So depending on where the pieces are going, you know, my preference is high gloss. I love it shiny. I think it looks so cool. But for whatever reason, some of the galleries, you know, they want something a little bit more satin or matte finish. So I actually have both. I'm going to be real honest with you here. I have more success with an even varnish using the high gloss than I do with the semi-gloss or matte finishes. I don't know why. I have a client that requested their piece that they had commissioned me to do to be a satin gloss, and I was not having a successful time at it. But that might just be me, and it's something I got to work through. It's a personal item. It's a personal matter. But anyway, there you go. What will end up happening is this little sucker will go back into the window to dry, and it'll be good to go by tomorrow. So there you have it. That is how I varnish a piece. Well, there you have it. That's how I varnish a piece. Pretty simple, yeah. You can buy spray varnishes as well. I've used those in the past. Some of my larger pieces, I kind of still do sprays because I'm going to show you something just to give you an idea of why it's sometimes easier to do a spray varnish. This piece here behind me is 5 foot by 4 foot. And if I were to have this down on a table, I can't reach. It's easier for me to go ahead and spray. So that will require spray varnish. This particular client asked for it in a matte. And I'm going to show you something. There is some unevenness in this. I don't know if you can tell from the light, but some areas you can see are shinier than others. And this is one of those cases where I really was not having a successful varnish day. So this is going to be re-varnished and sent to the client. Hopefully, well, if we can get past this Corona thing. It was supposed to be going there next month. So let's hope, fingers crossed, they'll go ahead and receive their piece because this is taking up a lot of wall space. But anyhow, so I just wanted to go ahead and reiterate that sometimes, depending on what your client is wanting, or perhaps it's a gallery that carries your work, some prefer high gloss, some prefer satin, some prefer matte. And the nice thing is all those finishes are available, whether you get them through Gamblin or some other product line. I'm sure that if you ask 100 artists, you're going to get 100 different answers. But this is how I do it. And today you saw how I varnish a piece. So I hope that was a helpful tip. And again, thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Give me some thumbs up, lots of love, and subscribe. Please subscribe, and I'll get back to you next time. Okay, until then, see ya. Bye.